So somehow that my karma has put me into a situation where I have to always speak after my Shiksha Guru speaks, or share the dice, which is so embarrassing for me. And I don't know what to speak, but after seeing him only, that's the end of it. You just, and then it's an order. It's like that for me always with all of you, especially with the Hyderabad situation where Radhesham Prabhu is there and he shares the dice with me. So it's always like this. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Very clear, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
So, as an order from him, I just would like to share some of my realizations on book distribution and trying to, inspire myself, and I hope that inspires all of you. The most importantly is, Srila Prabhupada. He actually, one of the quotes when I was in Pune only of the Sankirtan, Srila Prabhupada, especially on the marathon, was very touched. Outside Radheshampur's office on the right side, there was a board and all Sankirtan quotes were there. And one of the quotes was, Bhagavad Gita was coming like this from the sky, from helicopter. And one person's lap was there. And Prabhupada's quote, the war against Maya will continue until we keep dropping millions of books into the lap of the conditioned souls. And there was a photo on the right side of Radheshampur's office in 2003. There was a book coming from the sky from a helicopter, and there was a lap of a human being. And this quote was written there. The war against Maya will continue unless we drop millions of books into the lap of the conditioned soul. So this is Srila Prabhupada's quote, So book distribution is very, very important. And what is more important is the spirit of book distribution. And the spirit of book distribution is Bhaktivedanta purpose. So Srila Prabhupada wanted actually his followers to read the books. If you read the books, actually, the spirit of book distribution which you will have will surcharge you spiritually. That is a very important aspect. This marathon is an opportunity for ISKCON followers to boost your energies, to boost your enthusiasm. And it is such a pleasure. Though due to manager responsibilities, I'm not able to go as I used to go often after coming to Hyderabad. Otherwise, I used to spend 1 week on the Sankirtan bus. That 1 week has now come to Abbots and Attapur. Otherwise, I have had my travel Mayapur, Mumbai, and Sankirtan bus. But definitely, I'm always organizing travel Sankirtan, so it keeps me very alive actually. Of all the things, what keeps me alive is when I discuss with our devotees. I think all of you in Hyderabad must have seen our traveling Sankirtan bus and devotees on the various junctions. Have you seen the various junctions? You will see them distributing books online also. So that's a great pleasure. That's something which I organize and I relish it of all the things. And my personal faith, very strong faith, is that everything which actually I am able to offer to Srila Prabhupada in my humble capacity is actually because of this book distribution which is regularly happening. One is the bhajan, the sadhana of the devotees, and second is actually the book distribution. It is very difficult. It is impossible for a conditioned soul to understand how inconceivable, how the mercy of Sankirtan comes into the life of a devotee. We cannot conceive it. It's unimaginable for us, And one devotee, when I was studying 2003, actually, I was actually doing Bhakti Shastri in Mayapur. And one devotee who was from Croatia was sharing the room with me. So they were young devotees, book distributors. And I was 21. I just left home, came to Mayapur to do Bhakti Shastri. 3 months before I met Radheshyam Prabhu. After coming to Mayapur, I met Atul Krishna Prabhu. It was a very inspirational young phase of my life. And these young devotees, because in India, We are pious Hindus. We already have some connection to spiritual life. So we take Krishna consciousness in a different spirit. But today I can relate to those devotees. What the devotees were telling, amongst them they were talking. And I was thinking, I could just not relate it to it. They were talking that these books, they will go, and when they go out, so one devotee was having the same question that, how many years we'll keep on distributing books. So he said, no, these books will go out, and within few hundred years, Srila Prabhupada will actually become more famous than Jesus Christ. And I was thinking, hey, what these devotees are talking, and they were talking from Prabhupada's purpose point of view. But whoever reads this purpose of the Bhaktivedanta purpose, their lives will change, and they will go out and give out these books, and in this way, the world will change. At that time, I was just a new bhakta, just a congregation. I could not relate to it, but today, when I'm preaching, serving, managing, I can see that what a vision. If you read Prabhupada's book with so much conviction, you have to read Prabhupada's books in the spirit Prabhupada is writing and be convinced and live the life like that. That's a Sankirtan devotee. That's a Sankirtan devotee. Wherever he stands, books will go. He'll speak about the books. People will be inspired to read the books, take the books, and know about the movement. It's very, and spiritually also. I've heard from many leaders. Once Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj was giving a class on marathon inspiration. So he was telling that one of the rasas, we all know, Krishna enjoys Parakya rasa in Brajadam, which is not there in the spiritual world. We enjoy Bhoma Vrindavan. He enjoys it here. He said, similarly, the conditioned souls, they can enjoy this rasa of book distribution only in this material world. Once they are pure devotee, once they go back home, back to Godhead, they only do services there and relationship. Krishna Katha, Krishna's Leelas, Krishna's association, serving him, they relish that. The only thing which they cannot do, Vaishnavas, which we, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, which they cannot do in the spiritual world, is actually this Sankirtan. Going out and meeting conditioned souls and giving them books. Now, when I heard this, these were all early days classes. But when I heard this, and I went and did, because I was very fortunate in 2003 and 4 when I joined Pune. We had this ICFC. Shar Shiromani Prabhu, you remember ICFC? You were there at the time?
ISKCON Celebrate Foundation course.
Yeah. So I was like one of the first batches we were there. So we were very fortunate that Radheshyam Prabhu made a policy that all devotees who participate this ISKCON Celebrate Foundation course, they all have to go every day evening for book distribution. So we would carry some 30 books, 39, 40 books in a bag from Jivadaya, and then go to distribute. And our camp temple was just close to the temple. So I had made my strategy. I would never tell where I am going, because other devotees go, they all knew Pune because they were studying in Pune. So they knew MG Road, they knew Chakan, they all knew different places. But I knew the secret. The railway station has every day new crowd. And there was walkable distance. I used to take a bag and every day go to the station. And that experience of doing book distribution, I mean, when you read Prabhupada's purpose, when you read and practice Krishna consciousness, if you go for a lecture, you are prepared. You know the audience, you know the place, and you are prepared with your lecture. And you give the class, And then in a similar way, congregation class, if you go for a yatra, you know that you have to speak on a certain topic. But you read Prabhupada's books and you go for a book distribution, you don't know what challenges are going to come in your life. People will just spontaneously, if they want to argue with you, they'll spontaneously argue with you. And that's when actually we can experience how Srila Prabhupada inspires, how Krishna inspires us to deal with various situations. I remember once, I don't know, that was a very big I would say, achievement in my Bhakta program, because we had read Radha Shampoo, Discover Yourself books, and I read Shyam Prabhupada's books, and I went and gave a Bhagavad Gita to a Muslim fellow, and he took Bhagavad Gita and he said that I think I had heard Rasraj Bo's classes also. He said, I don't believe in this, and we don't believe in this, and we have our own way. I said, well, it's not about believing, it's about a path, it's about a bona fide path. I said, we don't believe in form. So then I told him, look, let's not get into the details, the principles of spiritual path, if they're bona fide, but let's talk based on a common sense. Then I asked him a few questions. In that question, one of the famous questions which we ask generally Muslims is that, do you believe that the Supreme, he said Almighty, we believe in Almighty. So I asked him, do you believe that the Almighty is he the supreme power? Is he all achieving? And is he unlimited energies? So he agreed. And in that he told also unlimited energies. So then I told him that, so answer my one question. When you tell him he's formless, are you putting a limit to him? Or are you keeping him unlimited? Are you putting a limit to him, or are you making him unlimited? So then the person got stuck. He couldn't answer. Then I told him, look, let's not get into religion, but let's take a very humble mode and think that, and be open-minded person, that there could be a spiritual path wherein the same message of love and serve, the supreme power, so Almighty, could be in different ways. And one of the ways is they accept the unlimited. We accept the unlimited in the form and no form, both. So we accept yours also. So this person was with his 2-3 friends, and then he had no other option than just buying a book, and he got a Bhagavad Gita. And that day, our whole ICFC group, there was a talk, Sitaram sold a Bhagavad Gita to a Muslim fellow. This was a conversation, The point I was trying to make was this kind of inspiration, they actually drives our life, rest of our life in spiritual journey. Like I'll tell you a story of, the great devotee, all of you know Ayendra Prabhu. Now, Ayendra Prabhu, he was a musician in America, a young musician. And he was married and living with his wife. And he had a big fight with his wife. And wife, out of frustration, threw a book on his face. And the book fell on his face and fell down. And he wanted to take the book and chop it back on the wife. But when the book fell, he saw the cover. It was written Ishopanishad. It was written Ishopanishad. He opened the book, read it, started searching devotees, and you can see what benefit the whole movement has just by one of the books. So it is said also, no, Jivera Swarup hoy, Krishna Nityadas. Now you see this we preach in so many of our classes, so many of our lectures, and so many, brahmachari class. Everywhere this is spoken. But my experience is going out on Sankirtan, endeavoring to give Srila Prabhupada's books, is a place where we actually can become humble. Because all of us are suffering in this material world because of our false ego, because of our false identity, because of our social status, because of our commitments and attachment to the material duties. And even spiritually, we can get attached. But all these things becomes very light when we go out and meet people, to give them Prabhupada's book so that it will make their life successful. It is just imagine you want to do something good for someone, and the fellow is not even looking at your face and not interested. But your duty is to still endeavoring. You know how much humility it requires to do that? And that is what Sankirtan brings out of us when we do with complete knowledge. Every Sankirtan devotee should know that we have to go out. We are going out to win the world through Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan. Ayendra Prabhu used to always say that these books, they are meant to philosophically convince people that the Yuga Dharma is Nam Sankirtan. Yuga Dharma is Nam Sankirtan, and that's how people take up very seriously. Chanting, reading, hearing Krishna Katha. I still remember after the ICFC days, then after that, in our Pune, we had a very simple system. Youth preaching, ICFC training, going to a college, starting a base, hanging on with the first year boys, go on with the final year, they take up a job, then they put them into Gauranga Sabha, Nityananda Sabha, and then, millions of camps, and then wait when they will join. That's like a standard thing. Right, Sir Shiromani Prabhu? That's like a routine. And honestly, Sir Shiromani Prabhu and every youth preacher will agree this. We don't know much. Radhesham will set a platform and we're just dancing on those platforms. Isn't it, Sir Shiromani Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Every argument is already given how to refute. Already strategy of prasadam, making them attached to prasad so that they will stay with us for 4 years. It's all done, We just go there and put asana and become a guru actually. So I took up this from 2004, honestly, until 2016, in the sense, youth preaching, temple management, marriage, then children, ashram, congregation preaching. I did everything. And 2016, I felt very empty in my life. Very empty. And one of the reasons was, I thought we would make a big temple in Bhiwandi. And I went into being a big Janmashtami. I said, which is the biggest hall in Bhiwandi? Book that. We'll spend 25 lakhs for Janmashtami and we'll raise 50 lakhs. Hari bol! And we got into debt of 8 lakhs. And after the Janmashtami. Then I was already a grasta. I didn't want to go outside and work. So then I said that only one thing is left, after joining, hitting the road. So I read the book, Radha Damodar Vilas. If you have not read this book, you should read this book, Radha Damodar Vilas. I read this book and took the bus because we didn't have the money to pay the rent also of the center. Took the details on the bus and just went out for 6 months. You will not believe, while we were doing book distribution and Harinam, we were doing Harinam and books. So when you see beggars, you will not, we generally avoid going to the beggars to give them books, So we had small books, we were giving them free, that 5 rupees. Prabhupada, Prahlad Maharaj Shiksha and Rasas, that book is called
Rasaraj Krishna.
Rasaraj Krishna. They are 5-6 rupees books. So we thought, let them give it free. That was the first day of our, Sankirtan. And we saw these hawkers from their hogged, begged money. They're giving us 11 rupees, 10 rupees, 7 rupees. And our first day collection was 12,000. Then I calculated 12,000 into 30 days. Hari Bol, we can survive. Anyway, that's my personal experience, how the spirit of depending on Krishna came back in my life was Sankirtan. This book is very important. And Srila Gaur Govind Maharaj always used to mention in his Vyas Puja lectures, the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is not so easy to understand. It is not so easily available. It is the highest tattva of the spiritual world. To know that we are soul and to be convinced about it is not easy. It's not easy for a conditioned soul. But the Bhaktivedanta purpose, they actually created the language. They created the sentences and the words. Nowhere in the creation, Krishna was known as Supreme Personality of Godhead. Humanity never knew the transcendental world, or there are so many words which Srila Prabhupada created in his purpose, Krishna, have you ever seen any Acharya's book, The Supreme Personality of Godhead? You don't see this, how Srila Prabhupada, designed his purpose to making it very simple. And his realizations. This is very, very deep. When you read, then you come to know. And I was also product because being connected to Krishna consciousness from the childhood, I did not take it very seriously until I went for a Vrindavan Yatra with Dinabandhu Prabhu. But later, I came back home. I was very inspired, but I never read books. I only heard Prabhupada's Katha, which I spoke in the Vrindavan Yatra. But my father, being a life member, had books at home. So I picked up Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada's autobiography. So Nectar of Devotion gave me practical guidelines how a devotee's life will be. And I was very inspired. I mean, I read by Leela Amrita, I understood that I have to leave home. That was it. A book which was lying. My father became a member when I was born, 81. And I read it in 2003. So you can imagine these are like time bombs, Of course, I was very influenced by devotees before even reading the books, but the books gave me that, convincing spiritual conviction. Spiritual conviction. So that is why it is my request that, we should have Sankirtan mood throughout our life. And marathon should be, we go out of the way to win the world. So this is Sankirtan movement. Sankirtan mood should be throughout. It should be on ourselves. If people come in contact with us, they should know why this man is like this. That curiosity should come in his mind. Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be very happy with it. Think big, like a Sankirtan soldier, with a mood to go out and win the world. I have to still remember there used to be this devotee name. He's a disciple of Harikesh Maharaj. He's a book distributor, Venugopal Prabhu? Navina Neerath Prabhu. Navina Neerath Prabhu. I attended his book distribution seminar once. So I remember mentioning such amazing. He said that in case the material world comes into a situation where there is drought, where there is wars, and people lose economy, nations are destroyed, anything is possible. Like you see Ukraine now. Don't think that it cannot happen here. Nations are destroyed. It has happened. It is happening. It has happened in the past. He said we may lose temples. We may lose, devotees may go here and there. A lot of loss can happen to this movement. He said, but if Srila Prabhupada's books are there, someone will come and read these books and everything will come back. Temples will come back, devotees will come back, and mission will be again active just by these books being alive, being there everywhere around the world. It's very important that we should understand what these books are all about. Bhaktivedanta, the purpose, so important. And the mood to go out and give it to the world should be like, we are going out to win this world with the Sankirtan. So that requires a lot of very strong association of devotees who are having this spirit like Radheshyam Prabhu. And then actually we will achieve this. So I just wanted to share some of these points which I actually had made. Touched me also. And also I wanted to thank especially Venugopal Prabhu, a group of devotees with Venugopal Prabhu had joined. All of them went to different centers, but I requested Venugopal Prabhu to stay back. And he stayed back and he took up, of course, he spoke to his Guru Maharaj and he took up this most important department. And later on, Sarashiromani Prabhu assisting him. I wanted to thank both of them. Especially our brahmacharis, Bhakti Viksha leaders, full-time priyastas, and the congregation members for actually helping us. The Hyderabad temple, especially the epic temples, it is Srila Prabhupada's temple. It is in the chart now of book distribution. This is all because of all of you, leaders, devotees, and especially Venugopal Prabhu organizing Sankirtan and HTMC members, Radheshyam Prabhu, Vedant Chaitanya Prabhu, Radha Krishna Prabhu. I wanted to thank all of them that, giving support and standing up, for anything which is required to increase the book distribution. Many devotees, especially Bhima Prabhu. Actually, Bhima Prabhu was a devotee in Radha Damodar bus party. He was sent to India to establish Sankirtan. When he heard Abbott's temple is on the chart of first 5-6 temples, he was so happy. He said, Srila Prabhupada will be very pleased with all the devotees of Hyderabad for bringing his temple on its original position. So, thank you very much. With this, I will end my small talk. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Book Distribution Marathon ki jai.